Previously on The Tick. Young Arthur Everest was permanently traumatized when the world's greatest supervillain, the Terror, killed both his father and his favorite superheroes right in front of him. Arthur grows up obsessed with the Terror and desperately wants to prove that the deceased villain is still alive and has a devious plan to take over the world. Unfortunately, Arthur's conspiracy theories are dismissed by his friends and family as nothing more than a symptom of his childhood trauma. No one believes him except for a mysterious new superhero named the Tick, who arms Arthur with an indestructible moth suit and encourages the lovable loser to fight crime alongside him as his sidekick. But soon the Tick and Arthur's good deeds get on the Terror's radar, and the old villain makes the first move by kidnapping Arthur. So buckle up, you tumultuous troglodytes, as we turn our back on villainy and give Lady Justice a nice warm platonic hug. Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Rod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. And if that recap of the first half of Tick Season 1 wasn't good enough for you, I also did an honest review of Tick Season 1 Part 1 that you should really check out before watching this video. And if you want to know more about the Tick's comic book and animated origins, I did a video on that as well, that I highly recommend. So now that that's out of the way, let's jump right into the latter half of the Tick Season 1.
Preposterous plot.
As we dive into the end half of Season 1, the Tick, Arthur, and their allies begin to uncover the Terror's evil plan. The Terror kidnapped an Armenian scientist called Dr. Karamazov and begins using his inventions for nefarious ends. First, Big Bismuth, a mysterious element that the Doctor discovered and initially used to power his inventions. As it turns out, Big Bismuth is the only weakness of the Terror's superhero nemesis, Superior. The problem is there's not enough Big Bismuth on Earth to kill Superior, and that is where Karamazov's growth ray comes in. The Terror injects an everyday citizen with Big Bismuth, then grows him to giant size so the Big Bismuth inside of him is of large enough quantity to kill Superior. He then sets the Very Large Man, or the VLM, on a collision course with the city, knowing fully well that Superior will be there to intercept the threat. Then, using Dr. Karamazov's high-tech moth suit, the Terror will detonate the Big Bismuth inside the VLM, causing an explosion that will kill Superior and destroy the city in the process. Wait, really? That's his plan?
The secret to the Terror's plans. They make no sense.
I will say that while this is the most preposterous villainous plan I have ever heard, it is the most Tick-appropriate plot that Ben Edlund has come up with thus far. After all, what made the Tick great was its eclectic mixture of absurdist humor and high-concept sci-fi. And even if you're not impressed, you at least have to give the man points for originality, as there is no comic book movie or show with a narrative that even comes close to resembling this one. So as far as nailing the tone and style of the Tick is concerned, I highly approve.
Oh my god. It's the stupidest plan I've ever heard.
Tentative theories.
In my previous Tick video, I mouthed off about a lot of theories that I had about the end half of this season. So let's talk about all the ones I got wrong and the one I got right. Firstly, I was under the impression that it was Midnight, the Holy Hound, who betrayed the Flag 5 to the Terror, as he was tired of being treated as nothing more than a mascot. This was wrong. It was Overkill who inadvertently gave away the Flag 5 security access codes when he was seduced and betrayed by Miss Lint. Secondly, I claimed that Superior had to be in league with the Terror, as he claimed to have killed him and the villain was clearly alive. Once again, I was wrong. Superior simply never bothered to check for the Terror's body after he blew up his spider tank, because quite simply, he was just tired of fighting him. When the spider tank exploded and they found the Terror's teeth in the wreckage, Superior enjoyed the praise and adulation that he got from reading the world from his greatest villain so much that he didn't have the heart to dash everyone's hopes. To put it plainly, it was just a lie that got completely out of control. And thirdly, I surmised that Overkill was actually Straight Shooter, the last surviving member of the Flag 5. And I got it right! Ha ha! Woo! In your face, bitches! Ha ha! I got it right, and bragging rights are the best kind of rights! As I theorized, due to Straight Shooter losing his eyes to the Terror's weaponized syphilis and getting his hands crushed by his minions, it made perfect sense that he then got his eyes and hands replaced by robotic implants and became the dark vigilante known as Overkill.
He's got your origin story nailed.
I also had a sub-theory that the reason the Terror allowed him to live was due to Lynn's request since she had feelings for him, but the reason for the Terror sparing Straight Shooter's life was not made clear, so that one's still up for debate. But I still got one right, and 1 out of 3 is still not great, but it's not fully bad, but screw it, let's just move on.
Character progression.
One of this show's greatest attributes was its amazing character progression, as it was an absolute delight to see how much the characters evolved from the beginning of the season all the way to its conclusion. Miss Lynn, for example, starts out as a sad, jaded woman who longs for the days gone past, but when the past returns in the form of her old boss, the Terror, she quickly realizes that her former idol is not as formidable as she remembers. He's just a senile, cruel old man who makes up his evil plans as he goes along, with no larger goal in mind. On the flip side of that, you have Dot, who severely underestimates her brother and saw him as nothing more than a poor, delusional, traumatized man. But of course, he turns out to be far more than that, which in turn inspires her to take on a more heroic role, much to Arthur's dismay. This, of course, leads to Dot working with Overkill for most of the season, which creates some very awkward romantic tension between the two.
Are you uncomfortable with physical contact with another human being? I mean, apart from butchering them?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Okay, I didn't say you were
I
afraid.
had a confusing experience once.
I get a sense that the creators of the show might set up a romantic triangle between the two of them and Lint, but only time will tell. Now let's talk about our main heroes. Ever since Doctor Who was rebooted in 2005, there has been a greater focus in popular media on the sidekicks. Secondary characters like Rose Tyler and Dr. Watson were suddenly being developed just as much, if not more, than the titular heroes from their respective shows. But no show did a better job of putting the sidekick on the forefront than the Tick. Arthur went from being a boring, grounded sidekick to being the most touching, endearing, and relatable character in the franchise. Yes, he might be in a frightened state of panic at all times, but that never stops him from being heroic. And that's pretty damn inspiring. One of my favorite moments is when he is about to escape the Terror's lair, but he goes back to save Dr. Karamazov. Now that is a hero. Brave is the man who fights. Braver is the man who's afraid, but fights anyway. Now, as far as the Tick is concerned, in the course of my past 2 Tick videos, I've pretty much said everything about the Tick that I could possibly say. But if you want a quick recap, here it goes. Peter Serafinovich is the best Tick. You want to know why? Then watch this show. But if you want a further example, in the 7th episode, Tale from the Crypt, the Tick and Overkill infiltrate the Terror's lair in an effort to rescue Arthur, only to find that it was all a trap.
See 4. I see more than 4.
The Tick quickly jumps on top of Overkill, shielding him from the explosion, therefore effectively saving his life. Later, Overkill thanks the Tick and offers to repay him in whatever way the Tick sees fit, to which the awesome arachnid replies that all he wants in return is for Overkill to stop killing.
I don't think my life's worth not killing anymore.
Guys, that is the most Tick moment out of all the Tick adaptations. The Tick is a hero through and through, and he doesn't just beat up the bad guys, he also strives to make the good guys better. And while most of the time he might be a big blue buffoon, in this scene, Peter Serafinovich plays the moment with such beautiful honesty, you fully understand why Overkill complies with his request.
You're lucky I made a promise not to kill. You get the 48-hour coma punch.
Radical references.
Now, like I said in my previous Tick video, this show is jam-packed with awesome references to all the other previous Tick adaptations. These are just a few of my favorites from the latter half of the season. The Tick uses the cannon from Overkill's danger boat to break into the Terror's lair. This, of course, is a direct reference to the Tick versus the Breadmaster, where the Tick uses the human bullet's cannon to fire himself at a giant souffle that's about to destroy the city.
The explosion alone, not to mention the speed it would generate, could finish a normal human being.
I'm betting that I'm just abnormal enough to survive.
Arthur actually uses his catchphrase.
Not in the face, not in the face, not in the face.
Not in the face, not in the face.
Our heroes actually catch an Uber to the scene of a crime. Yeah, even after all these years, they still don't have their own car.
Huh?
Let's see, 15% of...
Arthur, onward!
Oh, just keep the change.
The season ends with our boys getting the proverbial pat on the back, or should I say paw shake, from Midnight, who of course is voiced by Townsend Coleman, the original Tick. And if getting the seal of approval from the Tick himself doesn't legitimize Peter Serafinowicz and Griffin Newman as the new Tick and Arthur, I don't know what does.
I know what to do with this feeling, what it's called.
Accomplishment, chum.
Huh. Feels good.
And the last of my favorite radical references from the latter half of Tick Season 1 is... well, isn't it obvious?
Spoon.
Season finale.
Alright, I'm about to spoil the ending of the Tick Season 1, so if you still haven't seen it, this is your last chance to stop the video here. You've been warned. In the end, Tick and Arthur thwart the Terror's ridiculous plan and save both the city and Superior.
We've got a gremlin on our wing.
No, Terror. You've got a Tick.
And after an excellent final encounter with the man that ruined his childhood,
You got nothing.
our heroes save the day, but fail to reap any of the benefits, as Superior is erroneously credited for shrinking the VLM and stopping the Terror, robbing Overkill of his opportunity for revenge. Now, while this ending might be a little disappointing, I like it. Because being a superhero is not about getting praise or revenge. It's about doing the right thing. So while the Tick and Arthur didn't get cheered by the masses or had statues built in their honor, they still made a difference. Something that is beautifully illustrated in the moment when Arthur saves a man from suffering the same fate as his father, making him one of the few superheroes who can actually claim that he didn't allow what happened to him to happen to someone else. So no, Arthur may not have fame and fortune, but he finally has peace of mind, a family that loves him, and the coolest best friend on this big blue planet.
If you pull that trigger, Terror, I will hurt you.
Final verdict.
Like any truly good first season, this one left a few loose plot threads. Like, what is Aegis up to? Is Walter a superhero? Will Overkill ever get his revenge? Will Chairface Chippendale be the villain next season? And will we ever get a cameo appearance by producer and former Tick Patrick Warburton? Only time will tell. Often, it is hard to judge a TV series by its first season, as the creators are still trying to figure out the show during that time, and are prone to a lot of trial and error. But the fact of the matter is that this is not Ben Edlund's first Tick series. It is his third, so he's already gone through all the trial and error. And while the other two Tick shows are fine, I have to say that Third Time is the charm, because this is the best Tick series thus far. So send out the Justice of the Peace and grab yourself a piece of justice, because this show is mighty. 10 points in the Badassitude meter. Grab your sidekick and give it a watch. Until next time, I'm Erod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Spoon!